What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Leverett Analytics, hosted by me, Leverett Kt. Got so much love from the first episode. I just wanted to thank everybody as we did the off-season playbook for the Arizona Cardinals. Up next, we go in alphabetical order. You guessed it, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons finished 4-12 on the season, fourth in the NFC South, and this team had a lot of potential. I was talking to one of my co-hosts on R1P NFL Sundays, Moon Vibes, because he's an Atlanta Falcons fan. And I'm like, the difference between a team like the Chiefs, who won a lot of one-possession games, and a team like the Atlanta Falcons, who lost a lot of one-possession games, is execution. That's it. That's all. A lot of people were like, well, the Chiefs don't look the same. The Chiefs don't look the same. They had a lot of one-possession wins. They won them. That's the difference. Good teams find a way to win. Bad teams find a way to lose. So let's get into it. The Atlanta Falcons' top 5 players are Matt Ryan. On the salary cap for the 2021 season, Matt Ryan is due a $41 million. And even though his PFF grade is 83.1, he finished the season with 4,581 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Not bad at all. That cap number is ridiculous. We even had the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Blank, saying, well, it's not guaranteed we're going to keep Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. I hate when organizations do that. And I'm going to give an example of when an organization did that and it backfired. I believe it was 2009, probably 2010, where the Buffalo Bills had a running back problem. They had Marshawn Lynch, they had Freddie Jackson, and then they just drafted the incumbent CJ Spiller. By then, they forced their hand. They showed their hand. They were like, well, we got to get rid of one of them. Everybody knew that the odd man out was going to be Marshawn Lynch. So instead of getting the value that they would have got for him if they kept their mouths closed and kind of worked behind doors, they got a 4th round pick. And if you remember 2010, fast forward the wild card round of the playoffs, that's when he made the run that now everybody calls Marshawn Lynch beast mode. And I hate when ownerships do that. I hate when organizations do that. Do not show your hand. This is chess, not checkers. Pay attention. But Matt Ryan, he's coming off a great year. And a lot of mock drafts have the Atlanta Falcons taking a quarterback in the first round. You know, at some point he'll need an heir apparent. But the one thing I think people in the NFL don't realize is that quarterbacks are playing a lot later. Typically around 34, 35, you start seeing some quarterbacks retire. Now, you know, Tom Brady is 43 and still one of the best at it. On his way to a home Super Bowl game for the first time ever. So, up next for the top 5 paid players on the Atlanta Falcons roster, we got Julio Jones, whose cap number this year will be $23 million. That is a lot of money. PFF grade is 86.3. A lot of people would consider this a down year for Julio Jones if you just go by numbers. And this is the reason why I love PFF, because they get it. Yeah, 51 catches, but on 51 catches on 65 targets, and some of those targets were not catchable, if you know what I mean. So it's important to understand PFF and what PFF does. So he had 51 catches, 771 yards, 3 touchdowns, down year for Julio. But I think the reason why Arthur Blank was so comfortable to say, well, we might not be bringing him back, is because the submergence of Calvin Ridley, who had a fantastic all-pro type of year this year. So, up next for the top 5 paid Atlanta Falcons, we have Grady Jarrett, whose cap number is $19.1 million. That's on the cap for this year, but his PFF grade is 80.3. I'm a huge fan of Grady Jarrett, and even though he's an interior lineman, I think he's best at the 3 technique, but he does play a lot of the 0 technique. And later on the glossary, I'll break down what's the difference between a 0 technique and a 3 technique. But Grady Jarrett is good at both, but I think he's better at the 3 technique. But he had 46 total tackles and 5 sacks. Yes, that defense needs a lot of help. Anybody who watched any Atlanta Falcons game know that, and they could tell you that. Coming up in the 4th place for the top 5 player on the Atlanta Falcons roster is Jake Matthews. His cap number, $20.2 million. He had a PFF grade of 75.5. Allowed 3 sacks on the season. That's not bad. And only 3 penalties on the season. So that means he's a pretty disciplined player. Coming in 5th on the top 5 paid Atlanta Falcons, we got Dante Fowler Jr., whose cap number this year will be $18.5 million. PFF grade of 49.9, and his run defense is the reason why that grade is so low. PFF has him as a 39.6. He's an edge rusher. He's kind of that 5, 6, and 7 technique edge rusher. And when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, their top 5 players, 4 of them I have no issue with. That 5th one, Dante Fowler, that's way too much on your cap. You look at the Atlanta Falcons at this very moment as we speak, they're a negative $33 million in the hole. I think they had about $7 million in dead money, which is not good. Not good at all. So one of the things when I look at this Atlanta Falcons season, I kind of pay attention more to him because, like I said, one of our analysts, Moon Vibes, is an Atlanta Falcons fan. So I will pay attention to a lot of their games. Jalen, the journalist, who likes, he says he likes the Patriots, but we all know he likes the Bears. Paid attention to a lot of their games and everybody else's game because, you know, within the hierarchical system of R1P, there's a lot of trash talking stuff. They actually teased me pretty bad this weekend after my Buffalo Bills lost, but you know what? It's all good. So you got to pay attention to their teams because at some point you're going to go toe-to-toe with somebody. You're going to want to have bragging rights over their team or bring up talking points about their team. So with the Atlanta Falcons, I feel like in order to move forward with their offseason playbook, let's take a look at how they did the 2020 season. So with the Atlanta Falcons, that's, like I say, a lot of us know that they just couldn't win games. They actually found a way to lose games. 7 games by 1 possession that they lost. They lost 7 games by 1 possession. If they won all 7 of those games, they are 11-5. That's crazy to me. So we're going to go down the list. And we're going to go down their schedule. And they did make some key coaching changes throughout the duration of the season. But we're going to start with week 1. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks 38-25. Do not pay attention to that score. That game was a lot closer than you may think it was. Week 2 in Dallas against the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. They lost 40-39. I've been watching football for a long time, and there's games that will always stick out to me. Being a Bills fan, that come back against the Houston Oilers in the playoffs with Frank Wright at quarterback will stick out. This one against week 2 would always stick out. Like if I was an Atlanta Falcons fan, yes, the Super Bowl loss hurt when they were up 28-3 and lost. And come on, they lost in the Super Bowl, so of course that would mean more to any other fan. But I look at this game and the way that they lost. How did they lose this game? There's no way they should have lost this game. They were up 2 possessions with 5 minutes left and found a way to lose. Chicago Bears, week 3, they played our boy Jalen's team. He's going to say he's a Patriots fan. Don't listen to him. He really likes the Bears. They lost 30-26 that game. Week 4, they played the Green Bay Packers. Lost that game 30-16. Week 5, they lost to the Carolina Panthers. They lost that with 23-16. Week 6, they kind of get things together, and they beat the Minnesota Vikings 40-23. Week 7, they lose 23-22 in gut-wrenching fashion to the Detroit Lions. Wow, that's crazy. Following week, on Thursday Night Football, they beat the Carolina Panthers 25-17. The following week, they beat the Denver Broncos 34-17. The following week, they were on their bye. They really needed that one. After that, they lost to the New Orleans Saints 24-9. That was a game that I thought they had an opportunity to win. I remember talking during that week and thinking, hey, if Atlanta could right the ship, there is a way that they can possibly make the playoffs. Then the next week, they kind of confirmed some of my thinking when they beat the crap out of the Raiders 43-6, who at that time we were thinking, hey, the Raiders might be a pretty doggone good team. After that, they lose their next 5 games. Their last remaining games on the schedule, they lose 21-16 to New Orleans. Should have won. Lost 20-17 to the Chargers. Should have won. Lost 31-27 to the Buccaneers. Should have won. Lost 17-14 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Should have won. And then that last game against Tampa, another one of those games that was closer than the score indicated, which was 44-27. They also had a chance to win that game. So when I look at the tail of the tape for the Atlanta Falcons, a couple of things stood out. Overall, they were 14th. And if you look at that number 14 teams go to the playoffs. They should have been in a position to make the playoffs, yet they're going to have the 4th pick in the NFL draft. Offensively, they were 8th. Defensively, they were 23rd. They got to get better on the defensive side of the ball. So as I mentioned earlier, they got $33 million in the negative in cap space, a negative $7.7 million in dead cap. And some of their potential losses I was looking at. Alex Mack is an unrestricted free agent. He's 36 years old. I don't know if he plans on playing. And if he does, it may not be in Atlanta, or he might retire. Todd Gurley is an unrestricted free agent. He probably didn't give them the boom that they wanted this year, but Todd Gurley definitely showed flashes. I believe he had one game over 100 yards this season. Charles Harris is an unrestricted free agent. And I will explain what an unrestricted free agent means for people who don't understand what the restricted free agent versus the unrestricted free agent and what all that means. So that'll be in the glossary later on. Keanu Neal, unrestricted free agent. Keanu Neal is a damn good safety, and he's only 25 years old. In free agency, as we talk about the Larry Brown theory, you all know what the Larry Brown theory is because we explained that the last episode. He's going to get paid. He's 25. He can play, and there's going to be a team out there who needs a safety, and they're going to show him the money. He's probably going to get paid over what his marketed value should be, but he's great safety. He's still on his rookie deal, and he deserves to be paid. Brian Hill's an unrestricted free agent. Bleedy Ray Wilson is a free agent, and also Justin McCray is an unrestricted free agent. So they have some things that they can address in the offseason to kind of fix this cap. Not saying that they might have, a bunch of positive cap after it ends, but they will be able to alleviate a lot of that negative 33 million in cap space. So I was looking at some of the draft picks that the Atlanta Falcons have, where they have them at, kind of what are they looking for? What are mock drafts saying about who are the Atlanta Falcons going after? In the first round, they got the 4th pick. A lot of people are having them taking a quarterback with that 4th pick in the first round. This is a year to get a quarterback. At 4, I don't know if it's worth it. I think you might be better off trading down and possibly getting, more picks. I know they definitely need a edge rusher because I do not see them taking on that $18.5 million contract by Dante Fowler. It just don't make sense. His stats don't equal up to it. His snaps played don't equal up to it, and he's terrible against the run. And when you use that 5, 6, or 7 technique, you need to be a little bit better against the run and be disciplined against the run, especially with all the misdirection that goes on in the NFL. And it's round 2, they got the 36th pick. Not bad. Round 3, they got the 68th pick. Round 4, they got the 105th pick. Round 5, they got the 144th pick. Round 5, they got the 178th pick. I guess 5th round, they're going to be a lot of compensatory picks. That's why there's additional picks in the 5th round. Round 6, they got the 182th pick. Round 6 again, they got the 211th pick. Round 6, they got the 213th pick. And then round 7, they got the 225th pick. So overall, they got a lot of picks. Actually, I want to say it's at least 10 picks that they have, which is amazing. And it doesn't get better than that. So I look at this Atlanta Falcons season, and they left a lot of meat on the bone. They left an awful lot of meat on the bone. And I was just looking at this team, and I'm like, was it coaching? We all know Matt Quinn got fired. But can it really be coaching? Was it play? Of course, it's easy to blame the players. Or was it execution? I think it was execution. And I think a lot of times people take that for granted. When you're in the NFL, there's this thing that people like to say, and I hate when they say it. Oh, well, they beat this team. So if we want to use this year as an example, they beat the New York Jets. That's an NFL organization. If you don't mistake it for at all, because the best players in the world are in the NFL. some organizations are having a harder time than most. But even if you look at the New York Jets, I think they got one of the best safeties in the league in Marcus May. I've seen him play twice this year. Of course, I'm a Bills fan, and I watched him. I'm like, both times we played, well, the first time, definitely. The second time, I thought Stephon Diggs was the best player on the field. But the first time we played them, he was the best player on the field, even in a losing effort. So don't say that, oh, well, this team has an easy schedule. This team has a hard schedule. This, that, and the third. I think that's when we try to look at things in the analytical aspect, but that's not analytics. That's not analytics at all. So I want to look forward to the 2021 Falcons offseason next season schedule. They do play the home games they have are against the Philadelphia Eagles. They play the Washington football team, who may have an actual team name this upcoming season. I do like the Washington football team. They play the New England Patriots at home. They play the New York football Jets at home. They play the Carolina Panthers at home, Saints and Bucks at home. Of course, they're in their division. So all division teams, you play twice. You play once, play them once at home and then once on the road. So the road games next year, they got to come and play my Buffalo Bills. I'm sure me and Moon have a friendly bet on that one. They play the Dallas Cowboys. They got to go back to AT&T Stadium and see if they can right that Week 2 debacle where they lost 40-39. They play the Miami Dolphins in Miami. They play the Giants in New York. So it's interesting. They play the Jets and the Giants. You know, one is home, one is on the road. They play the Carolina Panthers, of course, on the road. They play the Saints on the road. They play the Bucks on the road. They play the 49ers on the road. So a lot of these games, to me, you look at your home, your road opponents, and like most NFL fans, you start thinking of, okay, which teams can we beat? But when I look at the NFL schedules, a couple things that cross my mind. Are we healthy when we play this team? What offseason accusations are we going to make or moves are we going to make when we play this team before we can even think about wins and losses? Also, when are we playing this team? If you playing Buffalo in December, in Buffalo, who wants to play Buffalo in December? It's too cold. I mean, as a Bills fan, I don't even want to go to Buffalo past October. The game I've been to was in September. Outside of that, man, it's too cold to play in Buffalo. When will they be playing the New York Giants? I think the Giants are an underrated team, and I think they also underwhelmed this year. But if you, especially at the end of the season, but if you think what they were able to accomplish, if Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles put their best foot forward, they probably could have beat the WFT for the Giants to make the playoffs. But they're going to get Saquon Barkley back next year, so I think the Giants are going to be a scary team in the NFC East. But out with the old, in with the new. Let's talk about our official playbook for the Atlanta Falcons to have a successful offseason in 2021. So, I thought Raheem Morris, I can't go on without saying, I thought Raheem Morris did an excellent job as interim coach for the Atlanta Falcons. We've seen him be an interim coach for a few times now. The team definitely played with a little bit more heart up until the very end, and those last 5 losses were brutal. I can't omit that. But Arthur Smith is the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, and I thought that was a great hire. When I look at this past season, I look at the Tennessee Titans offense. The reason that Ryan Tannehill had so much success was because of the play action. I think Ryan Tannehill is one of the best play action quarterbacks in the league. So, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, what do we do with Matt Ryan? $41 million on the cap? That's not going to work. Restructure. We're going to have to restructure that contract, Mr. Ryan, if you have any opportunity to end your career in Atlanta. I know a lot of times quarterbacks do. Look at Jim Kelly for instance. He played in the UFL. Forgot the name of the team. Houston something. But he played in the NFL his entire career with the Buffalo Bills. Look at quarterbacks like Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman played his entire NFL career with the Dallas Cowboys. And I thought that was very special to be able to play your entire career with the same team. I think a lot of us forget that Joe Montana played his last year in Kansas City. And it was a great year, by the way. I think he really wanted to prove that, hey, I still got it. Like Peyton Manning did in Denver. He was able to show the Colts, and win a Super Bowl. Hey, I still got it. It's what Tom Brady is trying to do this year. I think it's important that your legacy that I played my entire career with one team. You don't see that a lot. I mean, organizations these days aren't as loyal as they were back in the day. And the same thing could be said for the players. They're not as loyal as they were back in the day. So the first thing the Atlanta Falcons have to figure out, who's going to play quarterback. Who is going to play quarterback? So if it is Matt Ryan, that contract has to be restructured. It has to be. There's no way they can afford a $41 million dollars at the quarterback position on a cap. That is 23% of the team's cap. That's almost a fourth of the team's cap for your quarterback. And yes, he produced. Does he deserve the money? That can be argumentative. But they either have to figure out a way to restructure his contract, or they must move in a new direction. And a new direction being more than likely a new rookie quarterback with that fourth pick that you're not playing as nearly as much. Their cap number this year will probably be somewhere around $2 million, if that. Alrighty, the next thing the Atlanta Falcons must figure out is, are they keeping Julio? Julio's cap number is $23 million right now. So they can decide that they want to try to restructure, knowing Julio, he's not going to restructure. So if they want to extend his contract so there isn't so much money on the cap, he may be willing to do that. But they got some things they need to sort out. So here's what I would do. As great as Matt Ryan played this year, it's time for him to go. It really is. $41 million, yes, there will be dead cap associated with it, but that can alleviate, especially if they cut him, I believe, after June 1st, they can alleviate a lot of the cap hit that they will take for that, but freeing up some of that negative 33 million that they are in the hole. Julio Jones, what do they do with Julio? As I said earlier, try to restructure, give him an extension, try to figure this out, because I think he still got a lot of gas left in the tank, especially with Calvin Ridley playing the way he played this year. Got to figure that out. So at running back, I really like Todd Gurley going to Atlanta, going back home, so to speak. Played his college ball at Georgia. He showed flashes, but at 3.5 yards to carry in a league of analytics, that just doesn't get the job done. It doesn't. Not at 3.5 yards a carry. Carry on first, carry on second. Still on third down, it's 3rd and 3. He's gone. So they're going to have to definitely address that position via free agency or the draft. More than likely the draft, because free agency players are paid way over market. So that will alleviate some of their money issues. Now, who do they want at quarterback? That is the question. I know a lot of people are saying the kid Luke Wilson from BYU. Some people are saying Justin Fields from Ohio State. I think best case scenario for Atlanta, during the draft, trade down. They have a lot of picks, acquire more picks, and then move up with all of those late round picks you have. They got 3 picks in the sixth round alone. They don't need all 3 of those. You can use those as opportunities to move up when there's a BPA that you really want, and you can go get them. Now, as far as how well I think the Falcons would do in the 2021 season, I think they will fare well. I think that AFC South is one of the better divisions in football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will certainly be in the picture next year, with Drew Brees retiring, possibly retiring. There's definitely some questions there, but I would be very wary of that. Everybody's talking about, Jameis Winston is a walking turnover this and a walking turnover that. And that may be very well true. But if there's anybody who I believe can be a quarterback whisperer, is Sean Payton. Because if we remember, before Drew Brees got to New Orleans, He was the quarterback of the San Diego Chargers, and you see what they thought of him. They drafted, that kid, number 17, from NC State, by the name of Phillip Rivers. They took him. So that's how Drew Brees ended up in New Orleans. And Sean Payton was able to, and not saying that Drew Brees, by any stretch of the imagination, isn't a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but I believe that him and Sean Payton both needed each other. And he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. So don't think as an Atlanta Falcons fan, Jameis Winston is the quarterback of the Saints. He gonna throw us a couple of picks. Nah, bro gonna be ready next year. And believe you me, I thought that a lot of zip wasn't there for Drew Brees this year. That's why with certain plays, if you think about the trick play in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had Jameis Winston come in and throw that thing, man. It was a beautiful pass. Beautiful pass. So I'm looking at this schedule and I'm thinking that, they're gonna make the right moves this year. Of course, they're gonna lose some key personnel. Some of them needs to be gone, like Dante Fowler. Keanu Neal will certainly be gone. Todd Gurley will be gone. I don't foresee Matt Ryan being there, and possibly Julio Jones. Now, I think Julio Jones is more fixable than Matt Ryan's is, but Matt Ryan with that $41 million cap, unless they can find a way to restructure, possibly, but I just don't see that happening. So if I'm looking at this system that Arthur Smith is going to instill. He's going to find a running back he wants. Just imagine with me, visualize with me. Let's look up for a second. If the Atlanta Falcons are able to get somebody like a Najee Harris, just think about it. He had Derrick Henry in Tennessee. He's able to get a workhorse like Najee Harris, who's actually a 3-down back. And if Julio's able to stay with Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, I don't care who they got at quarterback, their offense is going to be successful. Defensively, they got to find an edge rusher. I think that's the most important thing. Because I feel like they got some key pieces in their secondary. Yes, they're going to lose Keanu Neal. I think I've been calling the kid Keanu Reeves. But Keanu Neal. But they need an edge rusher. Grady Jarrett's going to do his thing. They need an edge rusher. Also, they're going to need a quarterback. So, my priority for the offseason, as far as acquisitions, get rid of that Matt Ryan's contract. Find an heir apparent for Matt Ryan. Get a running back. Specifically, somebody like Najee Harris, somebody who can carry the ball 20-plus times a game. Make the read for the incumbent rookie quarterback easy, simple, play action. Things will be wide open if you can run the rock the way you need to. So that is my offseason playbook for the Atlanta Falcons. I had a lot of fun. As promised, I'm going to give you the glossary and some of the things we talked about today. So one of the terms we started off today with is unrestricted free agent. So I told y'all that I would tell you all the difference between an unrestricted free agent and a restricted free agent. So we're going to start off with the restricted free agent. The restricted free agent is a player who's played with the same team for 3 years and their contract has expired. So with the NFL rules of a restricted free agent, let's say a different team offers that player a contract. The team that he is currently with have 5 days to either match that offer or give them a better offer. So that's what a restricted free agent is. An unrestricted free agent has been with the same team for 4 or more years and that contract has expired. So with them being an unrestricted free agent, they can sign with whomever they like to sign with, and the team that they were currently or was with previously cannot match the author. So that's restricted free agent versus unrestricted free agent, and you'll probably hear me refer to those as UFA and RFA, just to make it simple. So UFA, unrestricted free agent, RFA, restricted free agent. So when you hear those terms, don't be afraid. You already know what they are because I told you. Another thing we talked about today was the zero technique. The zero technique is a defensive tackle who lines up directly over the center. And so when we talked about the zero technique, we were talking about Grady Jarrett. Exactly. And I was saying that I think he's good at the zero technique, which is him. He's a defensive tackle lining up directly over the center. But what I think he's even better at is at the 3 technique. The 3 technique is a defensive tackle who lines up between the guard and the tackle. That is a 3 technique, and I think Grady Jarrett causes the most havoc at that 3 technique. And then I think lastly we talked about the 5/6 technique, and that's what Dante Fowler is. And Dante Fowler also believed that the Atlanta Falcons will be getting rid of, because they're not going to take the $18 million salary on their cap this year. And he the 5 technique lines up kind of on the outside shoulder of the tackle. 6 technique lines up directly over the tight end, and then you can have that 7 or the wide 9 technique who lines out even further. And that's what Dante Fowler is, a pure edge rusher. But if you think about the production at that technique, he just didn't have enough production to be taking on that $18 million cap number. So we're going in alphabetical order. Y'all know I'm a Bills fan. Circle the wagon. So the Buffalo Bills are up next. We're going to have an absolute ball during that episode. So for Leverett Analytics, I'm your host, Leverett Kt. Always remember, keep it analytical.